All right, cool. Well, welcome. I'm happy you guys are here to hear me chat a little bit. So we're going to go over goals. But first, what I wanted to kind of do, I knew it was my last one, right? And I've hit a lot about, I felt kind of repetitive, kind of going through a bunch of stuff because it all kind of correlates into one big pot, right? So I wanted to do goals, but before I got into that, I wanted to make sure, as a head coach, so before I leave you guys to whatever, if I come back, great. He has me back, awesome, okay? But before I go, this is a leadership type thing, right? I hope what you guys learn from me, again, I'm 42. A lot of you guys have been around the world a lot more than I have, right? But from what I've learned and being in charge of adults, guys that are older than I am, they're all looking to me to lead them. I got 100, like I said, I got 100 football players at the high school that are looking to me to lead them, right? It's not just me barking orders, demanding them all do this and that and the third, and then me just leaving them out to dry and just leaving them there, right? It starts with me, ends with me at the end of the day. If my guys aren't successful, if my team is not successful, so for example, we went 6-5 this year. I've kind of blacked it out. It's probably one of our most down years, right? And we've lost 4 games by about a possession or two, right? Where it could have swung either way. So at the end of the year, when my guys weren't successful as a team and as coaches, I had uncomfortable conversations with our coaches at the end of the year, our end of the year meeting with coaches, right? But I had to go home and look in the mirror first, right? My team wasn't successful. Why? Because of the defensive back coach, because of the running back coach, because of the quarterback coach. It's on me because I'm in charge of that guy, right? I'm the one that hired that man, right? I vouch for that guy, right? So whether he slipped up, go to the next one, Abby. It's literally just one picture I saw, and I had to kind of talk about it as a whole. So if you learn anything at all, learn this picture, right? But we went back, went to the drawing table. I had to look in the mirror a lot. What did I do in the past that was successful? What did I do to encourage coaches that helped them out? What did I do with kids? Instead of just getting into a coach's office and we talk about kids and we talk about depth charts, the running back coach says, kid just sucks. Does he just suck? Or are you not spending time with him, showing him what to do? Is he fumbling the ball a lot because you're deciding to be lazy when you come to practice and not be on him about carrying the football high and tight, right? So is it that he sucks, or is he just kind of getting away with what you let him get away with, right? Those are it was probably one of the most uncomfortable situations, like coaching-wise, that I've had with my guys, because we've all been together for 10 years, and we're all like brothers, and we can talk candidly, and some of them are my brothers, right? They're in the office with me. My dad's in there. But these guys that I've gathered around, they're great guys, but when you're in a spot for so long, you can kind of let things go. So yes, it's on the kid, but it's also on the assistant coach, but it's also on me for allowing it to happen, right? So I kind of took my eye off the ball a little bit too much last year and wasn't really zeroed in and focused on who I'm in charge of, right? It got more to, let's go in there, let's get it done. Again, 10 years in, probably my 10,000th freaking practice, right? Apologies, I'm sorry, I get a little fired up, but it's on me at the end of the day, right? So if my guys aren't successful, it's on me, right? And I love this picture, right? The boss sitting on top, yelling at his people, push, harder, 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 right? It takes a lot for a guy to come off this podium, go down here and mix it up and show everybody where to go, right? You have to be this every day, right? You really do. And if these guys can't follow to where you're going, they can't pull what they're supposed to be pulling, and you've done everything you can to help them out, then you have your answer, right? If I have a coach that constantly for years is doing the same thing over and over again, I've addressed it and I've gave him help and I've lent him a hand and he's still not getting it, he's not going to be with us too long, right? Again, I know back in the couple PowerPoints ago I told you to fire everybody, okay? But I didn't mean that, right? This is what I do. It's coaching. This is like the next man up type of thing, right? So it may not be his fault, right? It may not be his fault, okay? It could definitely be that guy's fault if you're not down here leading where you're supposed to be leading. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? That's kind of what I've learned just being in charge of those guys like that. And you got to have guys, like I have Coach Eddie. I got some guys that are older than I am, right? They're very humble. They're very respectful. They have ideas, but they will do exactly what I tell them to do because it's been shown to work, right? I rely a lot on those guys, talking to those guys that are much older than I am, okay? And they like when I say that, okay? They're really, really old, okay? But I gain from their knowledge, I gain from their wisdom. But end of the day, this really leapt out to me. It's going on. This really affected me a lot at the end of our season, right? So look in the mirror. Something's not going on. It's not just because he sucks. It's not just because that running back sucks. It comes back on me, and I got to make sure that I'm addressing it, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So that's all I kind of wanted to talk about before I got into goals. So I'm going to be doing goals with with my players here in the next couple of days, right? We always do it when we come back, right? So we have a long off season. You can go to the next one if you want, Abby. We have a long off season, right? It starts in January. We're working, and again, I'm going to talk football. That's what I know, okay? That's what I'm in charge of. You guys can put in your own terminology if you want to, but it's a long, drawn-out season for us in the off season, right? We start in January. We come back, work our tails off. August, we got a 2-week break, and then we're back, and hopefully we go until December, right? That's our goal, right? So it's long and drawn out. So what I want these guys to do, I want these guys to have goals that they can see every time they walk into, maybe it's every time they wake up, they go in the mirror to get ready for football, and then they go. Maybe it's in their car. Maybe it's somewhere. But we do this all the time. So what we do, we have, and I won't get ahead of myself, but we get these guys to write out their goals, and we have a certain thing that we do that I'll kind of show you to do, so it's going to be a little more interactive for you guys today. Hope you guys have pen and paper. And they write out these simple little things. They put them on the deal there, wherever they want to put them. That way they see them every day, and that'll kind of motivate them to get the next day. It's a long, drawn-out year, right? It gets tiresome, right? So why setting goals? We go over this all the time, right? So provide direction and purpose, okay? Because sometimes you wake up, you're really not feeling it, right? Sometimes you got to have a little reminder in your face, right? It provides direction and purpose, right? It reminds you, okay? Helps measure progress, okay? Can help increase motivation, encourages a growth mindset, okay? When we go through goals, we go through these things. I have kids set up like little goals for practice, big goals for games, big goals for their year, personal goals, all these kind of goals that I have them set up, okay? But having this in their face, right, it really helps them kind of come to practice with a good, fresh mindset every day about what I'm trying to do here today, right? Not just wake up and just kind of go through the motions, right? All right, next one, Lucy. All right, Abby, sorry. See, I'm used to saying Lucy because she's right there. But Abby, okay? Types of goals, okay? So short-term goals, a lot of this is going to be repetitive. I know you guys know a lot of this stuff, but I'm just going to go through it, okay? Short-term goals, achievable within a few days or weeks, right? I'm going to stop eating sugar. Really tough, extremely tough. Short-term goal, right? But we'll turn it into a long-term goal, right? And you'll feel better, okay? So short-term goal, I'm going to go out today at practice. I want to make sure I catch every ball. That's going to be a goal of mine today, right? It's a short-term goal for that time and that period, right? Long-term goal, achievable over months and years to achieve, right? So, and a lot of these intersect, right? I want to go on a diet. Well, it's a short-term goal, but it has long-term effects, right? I want to catch every ball, which will turn in from a short-term goal to having really good hands and never dropping a football, which is not realistic, but it turns into a long-term goal, right? Personal goals, okay? Focus on self-improvement and growth, right? You have to have a personal goal. My personal goal in the morning is to make sure that my kids are happy and healthy and they're taken care of, that my wife is happy and healthy, right? That I'm providing for them for as long as I can, right? That's a goal of mine. My goal is to get to my office, if we have weights at 7, to get there at 6:30, 6:40, read my Bible before all the kids get here, and go through my day, right? I'm making sure I'm checking that box to make sure that I'm good, right, before I go into anything else. If there's days where I'm not thinking about my kids, I'm not thinking about my wife, I'm not thinking about reading my Bible, then what am I doing personally? How is that going to affect the rest of the team, right? I'm going to let things slide. I'm going to do certain things that the world does, right? And it's not going to be effective, right? Professional goals, okay? Related to career, professional development, okay? That's a lot that goes into that for me. Like, it's what we all do, right? Your professional goal could be easy, could be a short-term goal. Be on time. Don't just clock out as soon as, my time's up, right? I know my dad would stay after a lot at this place, and he'd make sure he got his work done so he didn't bring it home, right? So if he had to stay 30, 45 minutes after, right? So these are goals that in your profession you can kind of model it how you want to model it, right? So set goals, make plan, get to work, stick with it, and you reach your goal. It's just steps every day, right? Next one, Abby. I got it that time. Didn't say Lucy. Okay. All right, we've all seen this too, the SMART criteria. Okay, so it's kind of a deal. A lot of the, I mean, I'm sure you guys have known this, but with our kids, this is like, oh, that's really cool and smart, right? So they're 15, 14 years old, and this is really cool to them. But it kind of helps them kind of understand what's how you set a goal. Okay. Be specific, right? So I tell them be specific. Don't beat around the bush. Make it real quick, short wordage that you can remember. Okay, but be specific, clear, defined, measurable. Can track the progress. Okay, achievable, realistic, and attainable. It's funny because I like space. I like planets. I like stars, and I wanted to be an astronaut. But obviously, I outgrew the cockpit. Okay, so I can't. We went to Houston, Texas when Dave lived there. He's with the Texans, and he's like, hey, let's go visit NASA. So we go down like, oh, this is sick. This is great. I love it, right? We get there, and then we walk us through the little spaceships there, and they're like, yeah, this is the module that all the astronauts fly in, and the tube was probably that wide. So I raised my hand. I'm like, and I was a lot bigger back then. I was just getting done playing college football. I was like, so there's no way I could go in there. She's like, no, you wouldn't make the trip. They'd have to shove you in there, right? So I'm like, okay, astronaut, that's not achievable or attainable by me, right? I hope. I don't know. But that's not a real realistic goal for me. I've had kids come up to me and say, Coach, I want to play college football. And the kid walks with 2 toes out, and he's not on our depth chart. And I'm not going to kill the kid and squash his dreams. But at the same time, I have to be really realistic with him and be like, okay, well, you have to look a certain way, you have to walk and run and do all these things, and it sets in. So that's not a really realistic goal for that kid, if that makes sense. So it's trying to find that spot for them to be realistic about what they want, okay? Relevant, okay, aligned with your broader objectives, right? So it aligns with what you want to do, right? Like, I'm a head coach, I don't want to be an astronaut anymore, okay? So that's not relevant to me, okay? And then time-based, have a setting, give yourself a day, a week, a month, whatever, for certain goals, okay? All right. Next one, Abigail. Okay, so this is kind of where you guys are going to kind of come in here, okay? So we call it our core 4, all right? So you can get lost a lot, okay, trying to find goals, trying to stay on top of goals, trying to stay on this, what did I do today, if you don't write it down, right? I've had these goals, okay, for me. I call it FIRE, F-I-R-E, okay? So I made a little, and all the kids love it. They'll get in there, and they'll start writing things down, and they'll try and make acronyms and words and stuff like that. That way they can remind them. They can remind themselves, right? They don't have to go through a whole laundry list of things, right? A whole book going through your goals. These are 4 things, if done every day, will help me achieve my goal, right? So the first one I had for me, and I did this about 15 years ago, and we've kind of gone on top of it ever since. We've added to it, taken things away. But these are my 4 words. So with all the goals that I have, okay, everything that I want to do to make me a better person, okay, make me a better father, make me better everything, okay, coach, I think, in my opinion, I have to have these 4 things, right? The first one was finish. It was faith and finish. So I had to pick one. Obviously, I'm going to show my faith 24/7, but I had finish. I want my boss to know when he hires me that I'm going to finish the job that he hired me for, right? I want him to know that. I want the kids to be reliable, that coach is going to finish practice, he's going to finish games, he's going to finish his conversation with me, he's going to finish his marriage, he's going to finish being a dad, he's going to finish all those things, right? I want to be known as a finisher, right? That's what I want to be known as. Our teams finish. We get compliments all the time about our teams being 4th quarter teams, about our teams being halftime teams, after second half teams, those types of things, right? And I take that as a pat on the back with our coaching staff, right? So what that kind of goes into is like the first quarter, second quarter, because you can study a team, they can come out and do something completely different, catch you off guard. It's how you adjust in the second half, right? I want to make sure that we do everything on the board possible to get our guys in the right situation so we can finish strong, right? Because we all make adjustments, we'll make adjustments, and we're going to go out, we're going to make our adjustment, we're going to go finish, right? That was my first one, okay? With me also, integrity, okay? Integrity is a big one for me. I'm going to do things the right way all the time, and I think God blesses that, right? So when I have a kid that comes up to me, I think I shared it before, came from another school, transferred over, hey, coach, I still have huddle access, film access to the team that we're playing this week, my old team. You want to look at it? Yeah, no, I do. I would really like to look at it because they post practice film and everything. But I said, no, I'm not going to do it, right? We lost the game. Probably should have looked at it, okay? But The integrity part, I think God blesses that more than just a win on a Friday night, right? I think that it kind of builds more. And it probably taught the kids something too, right? You know, and he wasn't doing it in a bad way. He's just like, hey, coach, I got the thing, right? So, but integrity is a big one for me, right? Reliable. When they hire me, I want them to trust that they can trust me in front, around 100 kids to be a good role model, to hire guys to be good role models, to make sure their kids go home as much as I can, happy and healthy, okay? Because it is football. Healthy is, you know, sometimes that's a issue in football, okay? But I want them to be reliable. I want my wife to trust me when I leave the house. I want my kids to be able to call me when they break down the side of the road, when the battery shuts off, or what was it? The alternator shut off, and she's on the road, and she calls me, and I'm in football. I need help. Phone drop, pin drop, I'm out. Okay, I left, right? Coaches took over for me. How fast was I there? Was I reliable? Yeah, I was reliable, okay. So I want my kids to be able to call dad when they need something, right? I want them to be able to trust me, okay? E was for encourage. I want to be an encouraging person. I can be negative, but it's, in my terms, it's trying to help and I'm trying to encourage, but sometimes my wife is like, you need to be a little easier on some people, especially your players. You might get more out of them, right? So that's where we kind of, the yin and the yang thing kind of goes, because she's such a sweetheart, and she's like, you're a little hard on the kid. I'm like, all right, yeah, you're right. I probably was, okay? But I want to be overly positive with whoever I'm in charge of, assistant coaches, players, whatever it is, okay? But those are my 4 things. So what you guys are going to do, just like grade school, you're going to write out 4 of them. What's your core 4? You can put it on your phone, whatever it is. You're going to do it right now. You're not going to stare at me anymore, okay? So you're going to do your core 4, find some things that you like that kind of fits you, and then we're going to share a little bit. Does that make sense? So we'll go like 5 minutes. It's going to get super awkward and quiet, but you guys enjoy, okay? So write out 4. If you can do 4 of them, then great. And we'll come back. We'll kind of talk about them.
Start calling people. Like teachers.
I put listen, learn, focus, and perform.
That's good. Listen's a big one, right? Especially as a leader. You know, be able to listen. It's going to be what you want it to be, but you just got to take in some words. You else, Skip?
Well, I like them all, but I put 2 only, and I like the one fire. And the way I took that as, like you said, in learning the importance of my posture of my faith and reading the Bible.
Yeah.
That helps me to get my heart right. That helps me to realize that it's not always about me. That I'm here for a purpose. And just like even this morning, just reading before I left, get off my van, I have to make sure I'm ready, because as soon as we step out, it's a war zone.
Lots of
There's going to be a lot of different things coming at us, attitudes, characters. And second, that's why I put encourage, because it's so easy to, like you said, get caught up in the negative, the bad things. But my job is, in our faith, is to always encourage. You know, like it says, what kind of water comes out of your drain?
Yeah.
You can't have both clean and dirty.
Right. Yeah.
Only clean. So.
Yeah.
And so understanding that, and yeah, so just to always encourage and just be there and make yourself just make yourself available.
Yeah.
And actually listen when somebody's talking to you, not trying to get to the next thing.
It's a big thing. So I was talking to John last night. I was at a coaches meeting that we had for our school, and it's getting kind of late. Whatever, they started at 6:30. I don't know why. Okay, I love Sergio, but it was a little late. It's fine. He had to get his spiel in, right? So he did his thing, and it was really good. Come out, and I'm gonna call John. Like, John, I'll call you in 30 minutes. And then it turned into like 45. Then it turned into like an hour. And so he finally just texted me. And so I was gonna call him on my way out, but I got stopped by a parent, right? It's not something I wanted to do at the time, right? But I had to listen. I had to talk to her, right? And it was about her kid, and she starts crying, and it's tough for her, right? So it was like, I gotta understand, I gotta take a step back. I need to go do what I need to go do. I wasn't even thinking about that kid at the time, but his mom approached me and just poured out her heart to me about her son, right? And so that's what I needed to do at the time. And then I called him back like at midnight. No, not midnight. It wasn't midnight, but it felt like it. Yeah. But yeah, so that's really good. Couple more, yeah.
I just have focus, consistency, good self-talk, and balance.
It's good.
So, I mean, I know obviously in your role and me being playing a sport as well,
Yep.
you tend to go all in or nothing with a lot of things, and you do have to learn at some point. There is balance in life, because those kids that you have over there mean something to you.
Right.
So, good self-talk. I know a lot of us probably harder on ourselves than other people think.
I am, yep.
Being consistent, getting up and doing it every day,
Yeah.
and focus. You do have to focus on things that you want. So.
Yeah, exactly.
It's good. Consistency is a good one. Those are the kids that play the most on our team, right? So if you want to play in the game, you want to win a championship, you want to be on the field doing it, consistency is a big one, right? Anybody else? We'll do like 2 more. Yes, sir.
Guilt.
You said guilt?
Guilt.
Oh, yeah.
Discipline, integrity, listening, and team.
I like that. Team's a big one. Like, I'm sure you guys are all in charge of a team, right? Or part of one, right? It's kind of how you go about things. Like, you can't just make a Super Bowl team with all the best salesmen in the world and get them all in here, and they probably don't mesh, right? So everyone's got their what they do best, right? A good solid team. Like, it was funny. Like, Derek was. He doesn't have a lot of time left. He didn't have 10 years left. He didn't have 15 years left. So he called a certain Hall of Fame quarterback and was like, "Hey, man, you won a Super Bowl at the end of your tenure. What did you do, man? Like, how did you had to get all these guys together. You had to get them all on the same page. It was so tough. You're new on the team like he is." He's like, "What did you do?" He's like, "You have to have team players. It's not about having, Randy Moss is great. Randy Moss never won a Super Bowl. Okay, maybe there's a reason, right? But he's like, you can't have 4 Randy Mosses out there. You could, it'd be great, right? It'd be easy to throw the football, but over time, it's not going to mesh. When it counts, you need those guys, those scrappy guys like Hunter Renfro. You need those guys that are willing to do the dirty work. You know what I mean? So you need a good, solid. He told me you need a good, solid team. Guys that want to win. That's what you want, and aren't just there just to check a box and cash a check. You know what I mean? Yep.
I think it goes to the same point as lead by example. Some of your best players out there, are they the best on game day, or are they best all the way around?
Yeah.
Are they willing to put in the work that they expect everybody else to do?
Right.
Yeah. Like, okay, so example, like we came back from our 2-week break, we had our first practice on a Monday. Monday practices are usually out of control for teenage kids, right? It's kind of, I got to get back out there and play again, right? It's hot, but it was nice, whatever. But our best player, the kid I talked about, and he's a terrific kid, he caught a little drag route, caught it, noosed it, caught the ball, jogging out, and I want my kids to sprint. Like, you catch the ball, you go. Like, you sprint at least hard for 10, then jog it out, right? He caught it and he was still caught in vacation mode and just kind of jogged and trotted it out. I lost it. Lost my mind, okay? And that does multiple things. It does multiple things. The kids are watching that our best player can't get away with little things, right? Coach is going to get on that kid, even our best players, for doing the little things wrong, right? It also, not embarrassed, but it called out Andre for doing something he wasn't supposed to do. But bless his heart, he came back over. They did up downs. Okay, he came back over. He's like, "Coach, what'd I do, man?" Very sincere. I said, "You got to catch the ball. You got to sprint. You got to finish. That's what you have to do. That's what we do here, right?" "I got you, Coach. I'm sorry." Pats me on the back, right? Very mature, right, for a kid his age. Goes back out there, catches a good ball, and he turns the Jets on and sprints up the field. And I praised the heck out of him. I loved him up. I encouraged him. It was great. And practice kind of changed from that moment, right? That energy changed. And it came from just me calling out that good and bad, right? So it's good. We'll do one more.
Lead from the front. Give staff space to make decisions. I'm not a micromanager. Measure progress. I'd like to see if we're making progress towards where we want to go. And then be positive and supportive to everyone. Kids, family, employees, obviously. Everybody has an opportunity. In my opinion, I've said this many times, I hired everybody in this room, and I hired them all with the intent that they would retire from here.
Yeah.
So are they working towards that, or are they working their way out the door? So, my thought is if I continue to encourage them in a positive way, they'll stay engaged, and ultimately they'll achieve their goals all life.
Yeah.
You want to create an environment too, I'm sure, where they like coming to work, right? That's a big one for me, right? It's a huge one for me. Like, there's some coaches I had where I really didn't want to go to practice. I didn't want to go and see that guy at all, right? I'm not going to be the guy that pats you on the back 24/7, but I'm going to make sure the energy and the environment, okay, and the godly atmosphere is in that building, right, at all times. So do our best at it, right? Okay, I think I have one more. Oh, these are mine. Yeah, what are my goals? There's 2 more? Okay, that's fine. We'll go real quick. Okay, so read my Bible, spend time with the Lord. Okay, this is kind of what it looks like for me, right, with my goals. Be a great husband, be a great father, be a great employee, be a great football coach, mentor my players, be a great family member inside my family, right? So, I mean, those are, probably should have flipped those slides, but it's fine. Okay, but these are my goals, okay? My core 4 is the FIRE acronym, and that's how I really take that FIRE acronym to every one of these things, right, in my life. So, we'll finish it with C.S. Lewis. How about that? All right, good. He's a smarter man than I am. You are never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream, right? C.S. Lewis, good guy, yeah, but very wise person. I'm only 42. A lot of you guys have been doing your thing for a long time. Okay, I'm just calling you old nicely. Okay, all right, John. Okay, but you're never too old. You're never too old to have a new goal, right? My grandfather, bless his heart, passed on. But I remember when he retired, okay, from preaching, being a pastor, we would have Bible studies at our house because so we moved to Texas, didn't really find a church yet, okay. But so he would say, you know what, I'm going to step up. We're going to have them on Sundays. You guys come to my mom's house and we'll have some stuff there. But I remember one thing he said was reading out of a book, and he's like, look, he goes, the day you stop learning, you should just start digging your grave, right? That's what he said, right? The man was always reading. The man was always trying to find things to get better at. He was always trying to see, like at the end of his life, even when Texas, he was a retired pastor, but he felt on his heart, even at his age, at 70, 65, something like that, that God wanted him to reach out to homeless, to reach out to mothers that, maybe single mothers that are, homeless or whatever it was. So he got in this homeless facility with these women that have children, and he worked there off and on. He kept finding things to do. He didn't just go home and sit on his butt and had no more goals the rest of his life. He could have done that. He did a great job. Like, he's a phenomenal human being, loved him. He was great to people. He could have just sat on his butt and went fishing 24/7, right? But he had new goals. He had new dreams, right, that God put on his heart. And he went through with them, right? He said yes. That's a big thing too, I think. When God puts something on your heart, do you say yes or no? Is it uncomfortable for you? Oh, well, it was you. Well, there's like probably 1,000 people that'll learn from you and you can bless, right? So again, it's not all about us sometimes, right? So hopefully you can take that. I know it's something small. I know it's probably elementary, okay, but this is what I do with my kids. They have this, we'll type them out, we'll turn them in, they'll get the little fire card, they'll say fire, and they'll know exactly what it means. It's magnetized, and they can stick around in their locker as they're changing, and they can kind of helps them kind of realize what they want to do this year. So, but that's what I had, John. Yeah. Oh.